Enrique's parents in Bahia. In his childhood he had been one of Enrique's playmates. Enrique's handwriting was a disaster. Sometimes even Enrique couldn't read it, and Mauricio had been trained to be his scribe. Enrique's father, Sergio, was a physician, the usual choice of occupation for a da Costa who was temperamentally unsuited for the business world. He had one of the largest libraries in Bahia, and it was Mauricio's second home. Mauricio mastered Latin and Greek, and even Hebrew. Not that there was much need for any of those languages in the rough-hewn society of Brazil. Sergio's will had instructed Enrique to make Mauricio a cortado, a slave who had the right to earn his freedom by paying a set price. Enrique instead freed Mauricio outright. "I hope you can now be my friend, instead of my slave," he had said. The words were burnt into Mauricio's memory as deeply as a slaver's brand had bitten into his mother's skin. The canoe, perhaps 40 feet long, had 8 Indian rowers and a bowman. The middle of the boat was roofed over with palm fronds to provide a somewhat flimsy shelter. Enrique was glad to be on his way. In town, his stuttering was a recurring source of embarrassment. In the wilderness, he could relax. Enrique knew the Amazon about as well as a white man could. He was a crioulo, a man born in Brazil but of European descent, and he had been among the first settlers in Belém. Enrique had frequently canoed up or down the main river and its tributaries, and he had lived in some of the native villages for months at a time. Mauricio occasionally joined Enrique, but mostly remained in Belém to look after Enrique's interests there. It started to drizzle. Mauricio held out his hand. "I thought you said it was the dry season." It was an old joke between them. Enrique delivered the customary punchline. "The difference is in the dry season it rains every day, and in the wet season all day." Whether in appreciation or mockery of the witticism, the drizzle became a shower. Enrique dived for the shelter, Mauricio following. "I don't understand," Enrique muttered. "Ah?" Mauricio had been watching a giant river otter playing in the water. He looked up. "Don't understand what?" "Why none of the Indians who have questioned have heard of the rubber tree. I would have sworn that they knew every tree within 10 miles of their villages." Enrique and Mauricio had visited the tribes of the lower Xingu River, the Taconapé, the Chipaya, the Juruna. The explorers had been shown some trees which produced sap of one kind or another, but none of them matched the description of the rubber trees. "So it doesn't grow on the Xingu. Perhaps we'll have better luck on the Tapajos. We're in the shaded area of the map, where the tree is supposed to be found. Perhaps we don't know what to ask for. We asked them to show us a tree which weeps when it is cut, because of the first letter from Lisbon said that rubber is also known as caoutchouc. From the Quechua words ca, wood, and ochu, tears, that is," Enrique finished the thought, "the weeping tree." "A lot of good a Quechua name does you," Mauricio said. "It's the language of the Incas, who are, 2,000 miles west of here. Even if it's a rare tree, you would think that some Indian would try cutting it down," Enrique said. "See if it was good for building a dugout canoe, or at least for firewood, and then see it bleed." Mauricio brushed an inquisitive fly off the document. "Sure, but that might have happened a century ago, and they don't remember it because they don't use its, latex for anything. The latex is old news." His expression brightened. "Of course, they might still know of the tree. Maybe they use its leaves to thatch their huts, or they eat its seeds, or... I know it's sacred to their jaguar god, so it's forbidden to speak to strangers about it. Mauricio!" "Yes?" "Shut up!" Enrique brooded. Clearly, he thought merely asking for a weeping tree wasn't good enough. But Enrique's superiors, or the mysterious uptimers, had provided more than just the map. He also had received drawings of the rubber tree and its leaves and seeds, and even a sample of rubber. So he had thought he had some chance of success. "Shit!" Mauricio gave him a wary look. "What's wrong?" "I've been going about this all wrong. The drawings are meaningless to the Indians we've been talking to. Their artwork is too different. What we need..."